Hi, this is Becky McRae, and I'm talking to you today from Hopeton, Oklahoma, and I am one of the co-founders of Town.
And I'm Deb Brown from Webster City, Iowa, and I'm the other co-founder of Town. We help people make their town the kind of place they want to live in.
That's exactly why Deb and I recently attended the very first Rural Creative Placemaking Summit. Now, that phrase, rural creative placemaking, may bring to mind an old trend for some of you, which was this ability to attract the creative class, and you needed to remake your town following a very strict set of characteristics so that that would attract the creative types and they'd be happy when they got there. And so it wasn't really about us and who we were, but about attracting other people. If that came to mind, you can set that idea aside because that's not what creative placemaking is about. It's more about looking at our own artists, our own people, and the ways that we are creative and using that as an important part of our own community and making it the kind of place that we'd like to live together, as opposed to focusing on some sort of outside group.
Patrick Overton from Boonville, Missouri said, real people want to be making their own decisions for their own community. While we were at the summit, we had the opportunity to meet and talk with different types of artists like painters, sculptors, writers, traditional artists like fiber arts and musicians, theater people, actors, poets, potters, performance artists, you name it, they were all there. And commonly, we found that the majority of them were from small towns or had very deep connections to small towns.
Absolutely. There's also a direct connection from arts and artists straight through to jobs and the economic future of your community. This is something that came up at the summit, but it's worth talking a little more about because the connection from arts to placemaking, to quality of life, to economic development is important to understand because it leads to the key theme that we noticed there. Arts and creative people are working and using their creativity because they want to make their town a better place. And that fits into placemaking, our public spaces, and all the different ways that we use art as a tool in our community. But that also is part of our quality of life. When we enjoy the arts and we enrich our lives, then we are living a better quality of life, as well as being able to tackle some of the larger issues by using art and creativity to improve the quality of life in our community. And when you get to the phrase of quality of life, that brings in a whole different group of people who understand that phrase and know what it leads to. And that's modern economic developers who understand that quality of life is key to developing your own entrepreneurs, developing your own businesses, expanding your businesses, as well as attracting talent from outside and potentially attracting additional business from the outside by focusing first on the quality of life within your community. So from arts to placemaking to quality of life to economic development and jobs is a direct and continuous link. There's an additional piece to this that relates to jobs creation, and that is about building connections. A big part of placemaking in the creative sense is building connections between different parts of your community, groups of people who may not talk in other places, and to build stronger connections within your community. So you have a stronger sense of community, tighter community bonds. And that leads to people finding different resources that they need to start their business, as well as to expand existing businesses. When you connect people, you connect resources. And that is a modern rural jobs creation strategy, building connections.
And one of the key themes that also emerged for us is that there are many different groups of people having these conversations, but separately. Who are some of those groups? Chambers, economic developers, faith-based organizations, the arts people, media, tourism folks, real estate developers, community-owned banks, utilities, tribes and First Nations, the guys at the coffee clubs, and so on.
A great example of all the different types of groups that might be interested in this emerged from something that Sandy Curd from Kentucky mentioned. Their area was the subject of an incredibly negative and completely national and global piece of media called "What's Wrong with Eastern Kentucky?" To have such an incredibly negative piece written about their area really felt a little bit like a personal blow. Well, she and the other people in her rural creative placemaking group got together and wrote a substitute headline, one that they want to make happen within the next 10 years. And that is, rural Appalachia voted America's best place to live 5th year in a row. That substitute headline really will appeal to a lot of different types of people in your community. There are lots of groups, organizations, businesses, and individuals who are motivated by the idea of making our community such a wonderful place to live that people in the US, in our country, globally, would love to move there and participate in our quality of life. So we're all having some of the same types of conversations. We're just having them separately. And our goal is to help you to build the connections that will bring these people together and bring more of that energy to focus on making your community the way you want it to be.
And as you build more connections, you are connecting them with the resources they need. Matthew Flaherty from Art in the Rural said, without the relationships and without the network, we will not succeed. He also said, without the connections, money is not enough.
I think that's really key to understand that the connections are the part that make this happen. So we've provided you with a little tool. It's a very simple checklist to help you find and discover some of the other groups in your community. You can find that at our website at saveyour.town/RCP for Rural Creative Placemaking. So that checklist is just a long list of all different kinds of groups that you might find in your community. Now, your town won't have an example of every single one of these organizations. It's just intended to spur your thinking and to give you examples that'll connect you with new ideas. So you'll say, oh, we have a group that's kind of like that one. Here's something that's sort of like that. And that reminds me of this other group that's not on the list at all. And so you'll add that. You can pick up a copy of that checklist at our website, www.saveyour.town/RCP. And we'll leave a link with this recording every place that we possibly can to help you connect with that checklist. We think it's extremely important that you make new connections in your community, find the other people already having these conversations, and bring yourselves together so that you can put more of your effort towards your shared goals. Of course, you won't have perfect alignment of your conversations, but you share so much in common. You're from the same place, you're part of a culture and heritage. Use that as your connection point and start making your community the kind of place you'd all like to build together.
Thank you for connecting with us today.